Hello! I'm back with another video. Sorry for the recent slowdown, but I'm really excited this time because I actually have something that might be able to be used in combat. What you see here is the second to final version. The final version isn't in this video, of a radar system with redundancy. I know, surprising. It can actually take damage. So here's the very basic model of it. The blue is reading off the blue servo, obviously, and the red is for damage control. If the red sensors either fall off the creation or themselves are broken, it'll register that entire module as inoperable, as broken, and it'll henceforth ignore it. And here, this is something that somebody by the name of Raisin something, I'm sorry, I forgot the name. You can make a analog memory bit by having two OR gates feed into each other. So the signal is getting sent up there, and it bounces around in between the two OR gates, and then I can read from that. It is important when you're using them to feed inputs that are not 1 but are like 0.01, so that you can actually get that level of precision. Here's the model up. Same basic design, still same previous recoil tech, radar modules. Here I use gyros for dampening actually, but yeah, this is just the array I am going for. It's going to be 6 modules, and the way that I'm going to have it set up is so that whenever 2 modules align, they're going to shoot. As you could just have seen, they twitch. I don't know why. Physics, I guess. I tried. There's no consistency in it. But they do twitch. So, every once in a while you're going to need to turn so that they rub against their maximum. As you could see here, here's the debug, like gyro override on their turning. And I now have linked the blue servo into this little green display thing to align it forwards. The reason that I'm doing this here specifically, which as you can see here, it's to align everything, because they're all off by units of 22.5 degrees. So what I need to do is account for that and figure out how many degrees off-center they are based off of the center bit, not each individual module. Which is why I have those green things. The green ones are accounting for that. Here I have, as you could see, a basic module for, well, a basic analog module, as I like to use them, for whether or not 2 different guns, 2 different radar modules are aligned on the same target. Because if they are aligned on the same target, that means there's a target there, because they're both facing in the same direction. As you could see, the little horseshoe-shaped ring of sensors and the pink brick when they align correctly, the sensors should not be triggered. That means that the radars have aligned, and the reason why this works is I have the inputs from one being inputted into one of them, and the inputs from the other being inputted into the other one. My previous work with the analog ballistics calculator, which I never did finish actually, have helped here, because a lot of these systems actually are inspired by it, because it works. It works. Here I just added 5 of them because every pair of guns, every pair of radars that are next to each other is 1 valid firing solution. So if I have 6, that means radar 1 and 2, 2 and 3, so on and so forth. That means that I have 5 valid firing directions. Here I added some more stuff. The next couple of ones are really just a whole bunch of figuring out what should be outputting what, like whether or not I should be inverting the sensors, whether I should be using AND gates or OR gates. As you can see here, the white things are the like confirm or deny sensors, the confirm or deny signal. If it's green, if it's sending an output, well, not in this version, but in the final version, if the white AND gates are sending out a signal, that means it's a valid firing direction, and it's going to lock onto that direction. So here, as you can see, I'm just spawning a massive brick as a test subject. And if you look closely, you could see the front one, or at least hopefully, just give it a little bit. Yeah, okay, so this version has everything inverted. You could see the ones that align, the AND gate gets turned off. I had a little bit of issues with some side targeting things. It's more resistant to that in the final model. As you can see, the front one here, the AND gate deactivated there, the white AND gate. Okay. Further models, me starting to put final servos on. Just more stuff. Again, these couple of versions are just switching stuff around, figuring out which sensors should be inverted to, which ones should not, AND gates or gates, that type of stuff. Another step closer here. So here what I'm doing is I only need to read. So those are the analog memory bits right there. And what I'm doing is I'm converting the output from the radars into those memory bits. So then I could use AND gates or logic gates to then say, should I transfer it, and then transfer it into the bigger turret, or transfer a different one into the bigger turret. And I just showed you which ones are linked to which. The reason why I don't have 5 of those modules in there is because so lock using radars 1 and 2, and lock using radars 2 and 3, both can work if I only use the directional data of radar number 2. So basically, every couple of them, I could just share it, which again helps with complexity. Here I began running into complexity issues, so I generally shrunk stuff. Here I made a really dumb mistake. Instead of putting AND gates for the amount of valid firing positions, so you know, the 3 I have that get converted into analog stuff, what I was supposed to do was have 5 of them for each valid lock, not each valid sensor reading position. It's complicated. You don't need to understand the details. Just look at it go. It does need to have 2 radars align on a single thing, but in motion, that's not really an issue. In a little bit, you'll see an issue that this version in specific has that I then fixed. When there is more than one lock on a target, such as, let's say, radars 2, 3, and 4 all lock on a valid target, it's going to get the inputs from 2 and 3 and add that to the inputs from 3 and 4. Adding those 2 locks together makes it have some issues. Here you could see it working against a moving target. Not perfect, not perfectly responsive, but I'm hopefully going to be mounting this on a battleship, and because of, you know, a whole bunch of energy shields, it should still be relatively well protected. It's going to be a multi-part battleship because, by God, I can't fit it into one. But yeah, this is pretty compressed. This is pretty small, all things considered. 110-ish degrees of vision. And if a radar is broken, a radar module, the other side should still function. A very, very big issue I had on earlier modules, on earlier versions of just recoil tech radars as a whole, not just this version, is that they're very large, very fragile, and there's only one of them. And because they shoot in every single direction, you can't armor it very well. See, this, I can place these on the edge of the ship. But with the bigger radar, I had to place it exactly on the center of mass. Because if I placed it on the nose, the bullets that would fire backwards into it would then try to drill a hole into itself. That's bad. Also, I couldn't exactly mount multiple 360-degree radars because, well, they will shoot each other unless they're on different height levels. But if they're on different height levels, it's just going to shoot the support out from the higher one. The lower one, I mean, will shoot the support out from the higher one. It just becomes a nightmare. So this is, sadly, one of the more efficient ways to do it. But, yeah, it's complexity heavy, but it's a trade-off. You either want to have one thing that's super vulnerable and that is not the best, but can be defended really easily with energy shields and is a lot smaller and uses up a lot less complexity, or do you want this monstrosity? And yeah, that's most of what I have for this video. It's obviously going to be uploaded. Oh, right. So I do know that there are sensors that have been modded but work in vanilla now because of funkiness that can read stuff 500 meters away. I do not care for them. This thing can read things 300 meters away. Sensors have a very, very hard time picking up tiny stuff. Tiny, tiny targets. This doesn't matter how small it is, because this thing uses the auto-aim of guns and turrets. It is much more reliable at picking up much smaller targets from much longer distances. Trust me, I've seen radars made with those modded sensors. The only thing that really compares to this is the missile mod, and it's an actual mod that you need to have active. So, no thanks. I think this has a lot more interesting stuff, specifically because it can be used in vanilla, and unlike a sensor, you can actually target stuff when they have a wall behind them, because the sensor would get confused about the wall. And that's about it. Yep. Ask questions in the description, everything. Ask questions in the comments, I mean. Creation in the description, the final version. If you want previous versions, ask in the comments, yada, yada, yada. Yeah.